I'm going to read part 2 now. Spectrally illuminated by the blue light of the television screen, my eyes went to my mother's face as it existed in a sort of momentary eternity of nonchalance. In my memory, in the cage of my mind, trapped there and exposed to the zoological curiosity of my ravenous inner eye, I possess very vivid pictures, films, say, of my father striking my mother, open palmed on the cheek, lending it that peculiar slapping pop that is as unmistakable as the sound of a dog barking in the distance or a lawnmower's grumpy humming whine. The sight of my mother's pretty face being struck, as if it were receiving the spankings we kids did, punished in the tender infancy of its sweet femininity, struck at the very core of my life. Her expressions, going from one to another, fascinated me, intrigued me in a way that frightened me, for I felt that I was on the threshold of a vast aesthetic, the beauty to be discovered in the midst of violent ordeals. I never dreamt of telling anyone that I spent long minutes, bathed in demonic satisfaction, before the mirror in the bathroom, creating on my face, as if it were something that could literally be kneaded, fashioned into something, a reconstruction of my mother's pretty face, its expression in the moment immediately following my father's blow, one of crushed hope and bright, almost unbearable beauty. Oddly enough, like the tumor growing on the tree in the backyard, a sensation very much like it followed me all the next day, lightly coating my consciousness like a spray of musk, because there was now two such existent things in my mind. There was no room for each of them to exist separately side by side. No, they mixed together, these rancid sensations within me, like milk mixing with black tea. In my memory, I can see the cosmos of my boyhood encapsulated in that tiny plot of land of rigid squareness, marked off by stakes driven into the four corners of the lot. For a reason I dimly understand, the sky in my memories of Mississippi, of Itawamba County in particular, are always yellow, the color of a healthy, freshly broke yolk. It is as if my memories have, over decades of being submerged, steeped in the corrosive solution of my consciousness, are like old photographs exposed to moisture and time, and which have now, like a sick child, broken out in ugly purple and red and yellow splotches. The colors have transmogrified in my mind into hues and shades never beheld by a single human being. They are their own colors now, composed of alloys of aged substances. My memories of Etowah County are tinged with a strong sense of unreality, for then as now, I seem to see the world differently than others. Its evanescence, its fleet dreaminess, and the sweet queasiness I felt in its presence when it revealed itself to me in moments of absolute stillness, at twilight, say, when it seemed as if my cognition, wearied by the tropical heat and the dull familiarity of our yard, slowed so that it seemed to cease functioning altogether. My vision of the tumor on the tree in the backyard troubles me with its bright, sullen limpidity, its startling lucidity, its morose, morbid clarity. I can see it now as if I held its ugly mass in my hands in a litter of nuclear slime, the slick, brain-colored clay of our backyard, cool to the touch year-round, like the flesh of a dead man in the morgue. The clay that clung to my skin like smears of ruptured excrescences, impossible to wash off in the bathroom sink. Summers in Mississippi, my memory of them, are painted in my brain with those same prodigal colors, utterly novel, the result of a process of aging, of decadence in my brain, as if the serotonin in that organ had stained them. Right around the time that I saw the show with the woman being slapped, I sat beside the tree whose flesh disgusted me in that ramshackle lagoon on the side of our house, its shadows twitching like the hands of the alcoholic old men who stood in front of the convenience store down the street when my father went in to buy packaged goods. There was a peanut field behind our house, owned by Mr. Grimes down the street. In the evenings, at twilight, my father stood bathed in crepuscular fires, his form both small and enormous. My eyes went back and forth between the tumor on the tree and the figure of my father, Billie Jean, in the distance, naked to the waist, killing a water moccasin which had slithered into our yard from the peanut field with a garden hoe, a thing which often occurred at sundown. I watched the arc of the hoe. What it described in the air was a parabola psychedelic with kinetic moxie, diving like a pterodactyl with diamond eyes into the perdition of the limitless void. Then, like a man tasting one dish, then another, back and forth that way, my eyes went from my father's form framed in the twilight to the ugly growth on the side of the tree. It was hard to look at it, yet my gaze went to it continuously. In fact, my mind carried it around with me everywhere I went, and I saw it in my breakfast cereal in the morning when my stomach was all raw with obligation and lugubriousness. And though I desperately wanted to, I found that no matter how hard I tried, it was like attempting to excise with my mind my own hand or foot. Forcing myself to stare into its ugliness, I imagined with extraordinary clarity in my mind that the tumor on the tree, with the gravelly voice of the ugly man who had stormed into the dance studio in the television show, told me, commanded me, that was the last thing in the cosmos that I wished to do. Look at me. I slapped myself hard on the face 3 times, striking a pose, a look, the expression of the woman on the screen, hurt, surprised, morose, hopeless, soaked, literally saturated through and through with an embarrassment, a sort of cosmic humiliation that was vaguely, very vaguely sexual. In the twilight, the hoe rose and fell. The scene was flooded with a backwards light. The evening, the dusk, capsized, and my father sent the hoe right to the base of the snake's head, delivering this blow with the precision of a major league pitcher who, standing 90 feet from his target, locates his pitches with a delicate force, anything that exquisite, complex, beautiful, being by its very essence fragile, ethereal. If you enjoy this kind of content, please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you very much.